baseline.
I don't fucking care. Can we move on to a new segment, please?
Yeah!
Welcome to Just Two Fans, a sports show about sports,
Obviously.
about life,
Because sports are life.
and about just whatever the hell we feel like talking about. So, let's go.
What is up, everybody?
What's good, y'all?
I'm Jay Friedlander. That's Eli Johnson. And joining
Yes.
us at some point in this episode
The empty chair in the
will
corner.
be the empty chair, Chris Burkhardt. Oh, there he is.
I told you,
back,
I'm in
kids.
and out. I'm in and out. Multitasking. Like, here's the thing. Most of the time, you guys get into a topic, and then you two just talk, and then you eventually throw to me. So instead of just sitting here and just staring at this blank screen or refreshing my Twitter feed, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to clean up on the side a little bit, get the girls down to bed, run back down the stairs, maybe out of breath. Okay, hold on. Gotta get in on this topic real quick, guys. It's multitasking at its finest.
Yeah.
I
Well, and here's
appreciate
the thing, Chris. We do that because you get to do this all day long. We do
Yeah,
this once
so-
a week. So
True.
we're gonna get our thoughts out
That's fine.
immediately.
That's fine. That's fine.
And you're
Can't-
also
hey,
about to abandon us for like 5 months because basketball season started.
Yeah.
And if I swear to God, if you come back on the show and be like, "You guys kicked me up again. I thought I was never coming back," I'm gonna punch you in the nuts.
Hey, we'll see. I'll get on as as often as I can. I'll just do what I did last year. Is when you guys do the if there's a Tuesday night Blazer game. Hold on. If there's a Tuesday night Blazer game, I'll just I'll bring the mic with me and then plug it into the laptop and record from the studio until the post
you
game
go.
show starts.
Hell yeah, works for me, man.
I'm down.
Look at
Also
us.
joining us, as always, is super producer Cameron. Say hi, Cameron.
Hi, Cameron.
There
Man
it
behind the glass. Like,
All right.
can you talk like Ira Glass and just be like really in your mind? Just like, hello. So today we have.
If I had a chance to
African
like
drum
warm up
circles.
and like do a little research, a little background, then
Just get like just basically just like throat your mic and then talk not whispers but softly, and just give it like and just work up a lot of saliva in your mouth so that it, like you could hear every mouth noise you've ever made in your life.
I couldn't do
back
that.
years even.
No, the monitor is way too high in my headphones. I would make myself gag hearing myself do that.
Cameron's like, hello and welcome. Just
We're trying to gain followers and viewers.
yeah, right.
It's a good point.
I tuned in for 5 minutes and the dude's just gagging into his mic. I don't know what.
This is what just chatting is, bro. Okay.
It's just chatting. We're just chatting.
Doesn't one of us have to be like half naked in a kiddie pool for Just Chatting's algorithm to work?
No, they have a whole other category for that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, I don't know.
No, you need like the
beaches, hot tubs, and
half-naked
pools,
guy
but we're not
walking
talking about
behind
it.
That's what you need.
Oh my God, guys. Hey, you know what? I just want to point out to all the viewers and listeners that so far, no technical glitches
Oh,
this week.
you had to say it.
Hey, but we're still. Actually, I'm gonna check that I'm recording real quick. I am. Is everyone recording? We're good. All right.
Oh no, I didn't arm my track.
Oh no, guys, we gotta start over.
It's better than finding out 20 seconds into the intro that no one was recording like last week.
Oh, it's better than it was one of the first times we did the video feed. Eli and I remembered, I think it was before Cameron was doing it. We didn't start recording until halfway through the episode.
Yeah. There's also the time when my stuff just didn't work.
Yeah.
Just none of it worked. It was the unexpected 2-man show where I didn't have a
that's
mic.
right.
I couldn't
It was
hear
me
anyone.
and Chris. Yep.
It was bad. But
Good thing I was
we're here. All three of us. We're actually live and
yeah.
supposedly doing all right so far. So look at us go.
Look at us go.
We're learning. We're growing as a podcast.
We're doing it, guys.
Should we talk about some sports?
I think we should.
Yeah, why not?
All right. Before we get into college football, there's a lot going on in the wide world of sports. I have 3 different sports on my TVs right now. Wild. First thing, MLB playoffs are about as good as you could expect, and I still really don't care.
I mean, I got nothing. I haven't watched a game of this playoffs.
It's crazy because both of the championship series, the NLCS and the ALCS, have gone to game 7s now, which is normally like my favorite thing in the world. And I just have not cared at all.
That's fair,
But-
though.
Yeah.
There's no Rockies in there, you know. Why are you supposed to
I
care?
still-
He's used to that.
I still
Yeah, that's not new.
Shut up.
Damn, bro.
That can't, that's come from a Mariners fan. You guys can't even make it to a championship series. At least the Rockies have done that
Burns
Once.
coming.
more than 0
No, Mariners have made a championship series.
World Series.
They haven't made a World Series, but they made a championship
The
series.
Rockies have, so suck it.
You guys are both
When was
punching
the
each
last
other
time
at
the
the
Rockies
bottom
were
of
in
the
the playoffs,
list.
Yeah,
No, to your point though, it is weird because as you mentioned, there's a game 7 going on as we record, and I am watching the Suns versus the Warriors to open the basketball season. Like,
I'm more interested in the Frozen Frenzy broadcast on ESPN Plus right now than I am in the Game 7 of the NLCS, which is nuts. I'm a baseball guy. Like, I don't know why baseball's I know why, because the Rockies suck, but like, I'm watching random like the Avs are done playing. I'm still watching hockey instead of baseball. It's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know. I just,
Anyway,
like, this whole season, I've watched quite a bit of baseball, but I haven't really been invested in the baseball that much this year.
which is wild too, because the games are faster and more entertaining. So like,
Yeah,
I should be more invested. But
you would think.
I'm not. But anyway, the series have been awesome. In the ALCS, the road team won all 7 games, which has only happened one other time in the history of baseball. It's pretty nuts.
That's really cool.
In this series between the Diamondbacks and the Phillies, it's looking like the Diamondbacks are going to win the last 2 games on the road to make it to the World Series. It's 4-2 in the 9th right now as we
You
speak.
never know. You never know.
You never know. And you got it's the stage is set for Bryce Harper to do some wild shit in Philly tonight. So I'm definitely going to keep an eye on this one for the rest of the night, but I don't know. I'm kind of out on baseball at the moment, which is really sad for me as a baseball guy to say.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't really have much to add. I'm
Yep.
sorry. I wish I did.
I got nothing.
Chris is a baseball guy too, and sounds like you're in the same boat. Now, all of our teams had disappointing seasons, so that plays a part of it. But I don't know, man. I don't know what baseball needs to do to get.
Did the
Back in
Braves
the
have a
good graces.
disappointing season?
No.
He's a Red Sox fan.
That's
I'm
what
a
I
Red
meant.
Sox
Sorry,
fan.
Red Sox.
Yes,
I mean, they were almost
didn't-
500.
They didn't
they-
make
they
the
just-
playoffs. That's a disappointing season.
Yeah, but they would have they would be second. No, that's not true. But I don't know. Like,
mean, they had
it's one of
a
those things where like the AL East was just so insane that it's like hard to be like it was such a bad season when they were 481. You know. Now there were 23 games out of the division race.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it a bad season.
Still almost 80 wins. You know.
All right. On to a sport that if you asked me 3 years ago if I would care more about this sport than baseball, I would have said you're fucking nuts. But here we are. Formula
Here we go.
One, the United States Grand Prix took place this last weekend in Austin. Did not disappoint. There was some good action, both in the sprint and the actual race on Sunday. Some weird rulings with the what was it? Lewis and
Carlos.
Was it Leclerc?
Leclerc were
Leclerc.
DQ'd for their skid block having too much wear, which pushed Carlos Sainz into third, and Lando into second because Lewis ended up second on the podium but got disqualified. Cameron, do you have any thoughts about this as our resident Formula One quote unquote expert?
It's a rule, baby. You know, they were just the two that they just wore too much. You know, you set the aggressive stance, and Toto Wolff even said that with your setting up for a sprint and you're setting your car low and a bumpy track like COTA, this can happen. You know, they only had one practice session, so there was no suspension adjustments, and it was just the perfect storm. But you know, he said you take it on the chin and you bounce back. And it's not like they were singled out. The top 4 were all tested, and half of them failed. So, and it's all random. So it's not like they always do the top 4. It's random throughout the field. And yeah, so it's when you look at it, as far as the measurements, it's kind of crazy how much those things actually like stand up based on compared to how many sparks they let fly. So there's holes in the plank, and they must be 10 millimeters deep, plus or minus 0.2 of a millimeter at the start of a race.
Holy shit.
And no less than 9 millimeters deep at the end of the race.
Oh, damn.
So you could start a race at 9.8. You got 0.8 millimeters worth of wear for a race. But, you know, they put on the plank at the beginning of the weekend, and they set their suspension, and they don't test it again.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. But they'll bounce back. I think that Lewis showed great pace. 5 more laps, he would have won.
He was catching Max.
And I think that that's really good for what we've seen compared to what we've seen for the past 2 years as far as Red Bull's dominance.
I think the rest of the field is catching up to Red Bull. And is that because Red Bull's mailed it in for the year because they've already won everything? And so they're not going to be coming up with aggressive upgrades or anything, and they're focusing on the 2024 car now?
No, I mean, they already paid for their upgrades, right? So it's already out of their budget. Saving them is not going to matter. And, you know, you still want to have the fastest car. And I would not ever think that between the 3 of them, Helmut Marko, Christian Horner, and Max Verstappen, they're just going to, like, phone it in. That's not what those 3 will do.
Fair.
So, and Max, you know, he won by, what was it?
Like a second and a half, right?
Yeah.
Well,
it was
now 10 and a half.
Yeah. So
10 and a half now, but he was only, a couple seconds maybe up on
so
Lewis.
he when he was winning races at the beginning of the season by 35 seconds.
Yeah.
And lapping almost the whole field, you know,
Yeah.
I don't think that they are phoning it in. I think everyone is caught up. We saw McLaren really do it with the field about 5 weeks ago. Mercedes had some updates. They got some more updates coming. So we'll just have to see.
I don't know if you saw, there was like a TikTok going around, and it was this guy reenacting this weekend at COTA. And one of the things was like, you know, he's in the pit box. He's like, okay, Max, you are 35 seconds ahead. Just keep your pace and it'll be great. And then it's just like, doodle, this car fucking sucks. Your brakes are shit. Like,
yeah. And his response was just understood.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Max Verstappen.
I did love that nonstop. Don't talk to me while I'm braking. Quit talking to me in the middle of braking. Like, bro.
Don't talk to me in curves. And the announcers are like, the GP should come back and go, don't talk to me when you're in straights, and just like throw it back at him. But no, I think a big takeaway from this weekend, as far as an American F1 fan, is first American in 30 years got some points.
Hey. Jesus Christ.
And we love to see it.
All it has
There's the
is
super
two
producer
DQs
powers right
out of
there.
it. Just 2 DQs.
Hey, you know, you just got to put yourself in the position.
Hey, man,
That's what
that
F1's
means
about.
He was not last, which is
Yeah,
an upgrade.
That means
from
he was
where
in
has
he
been.
was in 12th, and only 2 people didn't finish out of the 20. So
That's not
It
true.
means he also beat honorary
5 people
American
didn't finish.
Daniel Ricciardo.
Oh, I
Oh,
forgot.
5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1.
Fernando, Piastri, Esteban, Lewis,
3
and
people
Leclerc.
didn't.
Oh,
So
yeah.
They
3.
got disqualified.
He did it, guys.
We did it.
Danny Rick was back though, honorary American.
Yep. Danny Rick was
Yeah.
back. I think he's just like an
have you
honorary
guys seen-
Austonian.
Yep.
Austinite.
Have you seen his Caleb Presley interview?
Yes, so good.
So
It's
good.
just so good.
It's him. It's like 30 minutes of him just not being able to keep it together
Dude,
at all.
He's just giggling the
It's
whole time.
honestly, it's like one of my least favorite Caleb Presley interviews because like the jokes don't
terrible.
land because he's just like Daniel
'Cause he's
Ricciardo's
just
just
laughing.
laughing the whole time. That's great though. It's great.
Nuts. All right. Is anybody but Max going to win any of these last races? Cameron, start with
Mm,
you.
Probably not. Maybe a Lewis in there.
I'm gonna say yes. With how much the gap has closed over the last couple weeks, I'm gonna say somebody's gonna get him somewhere.
Yeah, it's not gonna be Vegas. Nope.
No,
Nope.
no.
Oh no, he's going to win by probably a minute in Vegas.
Yeah. Maybe Mexico City. Then we got Brazil. But I don't know.
How many races has he won?
This year, 15?
Oh, dude, there's no way he doesn't
16?
win in Mexico City either.
Won
That-
15.
Yeah.
maybe
Of the
maybe
races
Brazil.
that have taken place, he hasn't won 3 of them. He's won 15 out of 18
it's
races.
insane. Oh, I bet if it's gonna be one of them, it's gonna be Abu Dhabi, the UAE. 'Cause that circuit's all wonky.
Last year, he didn't win the Brazil Grand Prix.
Oh, well, maybe
Sao
that
Paulo,
True.
right?
Yeah. And then he didn't let Checo get more points,
Oh yeah, because he's a giant dick.
even though he'd already shored up
He'd already won the
Drivers'
championship.
Championship.
What a cock.
That,
Forgot
so that
about
was
that.
my biggest thing is, I really want the wheels to be set in motion. I have nothing against Checo, but if the wheels can get set in motion where he doesn't get second in the Drivers' Championship, I just want to know what Red Bull's going to do.
I think they're getting rid of him either way. I don't think it matters. I still hold true to that.
I find it hard to not agree with you. How
I
far?
mean, it's
Lewis
been-
is 39 points back. Checo would have to lose to Lewis by a lot in the next 4 races.
Yeah, but with how Checo's not gotten into 10th, like in the top 10 over the season,
I mean, he's only not gotten in the top 10 twice.
we'll just
One
have
of
to
those is
see.
a wreck.
But he does have a lot of single-digit point weekends. Like Singapore, he has 4 points. Qatar, he had 1 point. So, like, if he could have those and Lewis can continue to get second and stuff, it could close.
Yeah. This was really the weekend to get it started.
What in the world happened to the green Red Bull cars?
Everyone else got better
The
and they
Aston
didn't.
Martin. Holy shit, dude! That car looks like shit. It looks like they regressed. Like their upgrades were downgrades.
Yeah,
The
it
car
really
looks
does.
terrible.
Yeah. It's bad.
I gotta look at it right here. Yeah, well, it's probably like Cameron was saying. It's like the rest of the cars. Like, I mean, we're looking at McLaren and Mercedes getting markedly better over the last 5-6 races.
Yeah.
And they probably just stayed the same. And that's 4 cars difference right there for each one. So
it's like I texted you guys on Sunday. They just decided to go caffeine free with their Red Bull.
yeah, exactly.
All right. That's Formula One. Any closing thoughts?
Nope.
Cool.
Not from me.
I think that
The
point could
NBA
see Logan back at Williams next year.
I think Logan's back. By the way, the team principal is talking
Yeah, I think
about
that
him.
he
I
showed
think
that.
Guys, you got points.
Yeah, well, with the opportunities and in that race, it's not like Albon's done crazy better than him, and it's his rookie year. I think he'll get another 1 year, maybe a 2-year extension.
Another shot.
Well, and
Yeah,
they
shot
showed
at it.
the team principal said, well, he wasn't with us for testing, and so we kind of just threw him out in the car that he had never driven, and it feels like drivers who don't get to do testing are at a severe disadvantage.
Yeah. Well, and
that
also
testing weekend is so many laps.
That car is so unreliable. I mean, how many times has he just been like, okay, I guess I'm done?
Yeah,
I can't. Was it Australia where he was like in points and the
Or
fucking
close,
power
yeah.
unit just crapped out or whatever it was. I was just like, oh, he is actually showing something and got boned.
yep.
So, but we're just glad he got a point.
Just glad he got a point.
Glad he got a point. All right, let's move on. NBA is back. The defending champs were in action tonight. Ended the 2022-2023 season with a win. Began the 2023-2024 season with a win, dispatching the Lakers, who were billing this game as like their Super Bowl. Did you hear any of the hype leading up to this? It was mostly
Chris is back, ladies and gentlemen.
it was definitely mostly here in Denver, but the Lakers were talking this game like they have been waiting all summer to get back at the Nuggets, and then they just laid another egg because the Nuggets are that good. Right, Chris?
The answer is yes. I think the Lakers were still talking mess after the game, right? Like, oh, we can't wait to play them again. Like I don't get this idea that they're like, oh, the Nuggets were just talking trash. They're just talking trash. Like, dude, they whooped your butt in the playoffs and then won the championship. They have earned the right to talk a little trash. Like, I think I saw someone on Twitter. I can't remember who it was, but it was the whole point was, if you sweep someone in the playoffs and then win a championship and you can't talk trash, at what point are you allowed to actually talk trash? Like, and it's just like, bro, like, come on. Like, LeBron deserves it after not 1, not 2, not 3, and all his nonsense. He absolutely deserves it.
LeBron deserves any of the trash talking that comes his way. Any of it.
All of it.
All of it. So I love it. I actually thought the Nuggets would probably lose tonight. All the stuff that comes with a ring ceremony and raising the banner,
Yeah.
all the pregame nonsense, and then playing a team that really wants to beat you because of all of the stuff we just talked about.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. The Nuggets have a superpower. And that superpower is that Nikola Jokic cannot give 2 shits about the game of basketball. So there's no big game hangover with Jokic because all he wants to do is make enough money to support his horses. And like, it's honestly a superpower. Like, how do you have a
100%?
I mean, he's not going to have emotional games because he's just going to be like, I don't give a shit about this. Like, I'm just here to make money so I can raise awesome horses that race their little chariots. Like, that's it. It's a superpower.
I freaking love Nikola Jokic. He's just like my favorite because he's like the anti-NBA. He is everything the NBA doesn't want a superstar to be, and that makes me love him even more.
I love it. I love it as well. It's funny because, like, in Portland, it's like, how come James rapping when he should be working out, should have been posting more workout videos, because he's never been the type to post the workout videos, and everyone else gets their workout video in and posts about it and gets their likes. And I mean, LeBron pretty much jumps in a pool and then tweets about it and says, look at all this sweat, despite the fact you can smell the chlorine through the tweet. But then you got Nikola Jokic, who's like, what was your favorite part about, summer? And nothing. Why? Because we had to play 2.5 extra months. He's just like this guy, seriously, like you said, he just wants to go raise his horses and all. Like, I love it, because I get in this argument with people all the time. They're like, basketball is a job, right? No, it's not. They're going to play a sport. I don't give a shit. It's a job. It is a job. Like, all these people who like I'm not trying to be that guy, but like, how many people would want to host radio, right? Like, I'm in a pretty cool spot when it comes to work. There are days I don't want to go to work because it's work. It's a job. Like, it's a job like any other job. It's just one that a lot of people would like to have. Like, a lot of people wish they could play basketball for a living, right? But it's work at the end of the day. Yeah. So I love that Jokic is like the 9-to-5 hard hatter. Like, if you worked with Jokic, he's the guy who clocks out with work left to do. I'm like, don't you have work left? Yeah. He's like, yeah, but I'm off at 5. I'm out. I'll see you tomorrow.
it was like I it's the same thing that I felt like when Bryson DeChambeau was like, golf is hard. This is a hard sport to play. And like talking about, like, you don't see the hours that we put in. It's hard. And everyone was giving him a lot of shit because it's Bryson and he deserves a lot of shit. But I was like, no, he's right. Like, it is his job. It's tough.
100%.
He's on the range 8 hours a day. I love golf. Wouldn't want to do. I played a lot of golf a couple summers ago. I had to take a 2-year break because I played too much golf. I golfed myself into a break because I was just like, I played too much. I was burnt out. But it's the same thing with Jokic, though. But like, he'll never do that because he's just like, I don't give a shit about this. Yeah, 9 to 5. It's like, I'm off the clock, man. I don't give a fuck about basketball right now.
Yeah. What blows my mind the most is this guy talks about how he didn't touch a basketball or work on his game all summer long. He actually took a break, and then he goes out in the very first game of the season against Anthony Davis, mind you, and just has a casual triple-double. Like Jokic is something else, dude.
He's barely
one of the best
either.
We've ever seen.
It's a pretty hefty double-double.
Yeah.
Or triple-double.
Triple-double, 29, 13, and 11. It was an easy day at the office.
Average day at the office for Jokic. Yeah, it's
I don't know if you guys saw the video of him at practice with Murray, and he's like, Jokic is like looking at his phone, and Murray goes like this film, and like Murray's like, hey, what do you look at, Jokic? And he, like, Jokic just like turns the screen towards Murray and the camera, and it's just his horses like running, like working out, and it's like in the middle of practice, he's watching his horses.
He's an easygoing guy.
Yeah, man, good. So it is kind of a breath of fresh air, though, right? Because you are so used to having the superstars have to be so media focused and like such personalities, and he's just not.
Well, that's why the media took so long to get on the Denver Nuggets bandwagon, and some of them still aren't. Ask Kendrick Perkins what he thinks about the Nuggets. That guy's a tool bag.
No one needs to hear what Kendrick Perkins has to say.
Dude, he's such a twat. He's awful. All right. So season's begun. Phoenix is beating the shit out of Golden State right now. Chris, as our NBA guy, what are your predictions? Who's coming out of the East? Who's coming out of the West? Who's your champ?
Coming out of the East, I'm going with Milwaukee. I think they are the best team. I know that the Celtics got better, but if Drew Holiday was the true missing piece to the championship, then Milwaukee would have wanted to keep him, right? Damian Lillard is exactly what Milwaukee needed. Someone to space the floor, someone to hit big shots, someone to take the scoring burden off of Giannis. Like them a lot. Other way around, I think in the West, which I think is going to be interesting because Phoenix is going to be really, really good. But I can't everyone else is doing it, so I can't do it, but I can't sleep on Denver. They're the defending champs, and they have a guy who is, I think, right now might be truly the best player in the NBA. Like everyone lumps onto Giannis, right? But Jokic is a freak of nature as well. So, yeah, I'm going with Denver getting back out of the West, which I personally would love just for the narrative. Maybe shut some people up a little bit. Like, oh, it has to be the star-laden Phoenix Suns. It has to be the Lakers because the Lakers did have a good offseason. You can't deny that. But like, people act like even you living in Denver, I'm sure people act like this, but like people act like Denver is just Nikola Jokic, as if Aaron Gordon hasn't been great for them, as if Michael Porter Jr. hasn't been great for them, as if Jamal Murray isn't the most underappreciated point guard nationally. The guy was an absolute stud prior to that ACL injury, and after he shook the dust off, he was great last year, and he was hitting shots tonight. So I love what they do. And then, of course, Coach Malone, I think, is one of the best coaches in the league. So yeah, I'm going Denver, Milwaukee, and unfortunately for you, I'm taking Milwaukee to win it. That team's dirty good. So we'll see what happens.
We will see what happens. Eli, what do you think?
I fully agree with Chris on this. I'm in the exact same boat. Milwaukee, Denver, with Milwaukee on the edge, getting the edge in the championship.
I'm Milwaukee, Denver, but Nuggets repeat.
That'd be great for the Nuggets.
That series is going to be nuts.
Here's the thing: if that series comes to fruition, I won't care who wins.
No, it's going to be amazing basketball. Yeah. That's what I want to see in a finals.
That would be great too. Not only it would be actually probably be the best finals you could get if you got Denver back in there, just because obviously the Giannis versus Jokic narrative, but the fact that we have seen Damian Lillard versus the Nuggets so many times in the playoffs, but now you get that extra layer to it being for a championship. I would absolutely love that. And if it was a quick as a easy flight to Denver, there'd probably be some Portland fans trying to get down to Denver just to watch their guy Dame maybe win a title.
Yep, I'm all here for it. I think it would be amazing. I was going to talk about hockey, but there's really not much to talk about. We're like 6 games in to a long season, so not much to talk about. The Frozen Frenzy broadcast is pretty awesome. We talked about that a little bit. They've got a little bit of cleaning up to do, but if they could do this, like Tuesday, Thursdays throughout the season, the slow sports days, I think it would be extremely popular. Right now they're cooking, so I don't really know. Some weirdness going on.
Physically cooking like food?
Yeah. PK Subban is like sprinkling Parmesan onto pasta. It's so weird.
What?
Yeah, dude. It's weird, but it's happening.
Okay. Well, can we talk about college football now?
It is time to talk about the greatest sport in the world. And that is college football.
It's getting better too. It's just so good.
Before we get into the results of last week, I want to get into the news of the week, which is the bizarre, odd, whatever adjective you want to describe the witch hunt of Jim Harbaugh by the NCAA.
Yeah, why don't you tell our listener what it is?
It is, so Michigan's being investigated for basically the equivalent of Spygate in the NFL when the Patriots got caught recording practice. They're investigating Michigan for having somebody buy tickets to other games and having a staffer record the sideline the whole game to steal their signs and get their play calls. Yeah. I don't know how you guys feel about this. I think I know how Chris feels about it because he made it pretty clear in our text chain. I think this is basically a non-issue, and I would be shocked if Michigan was the only school doing this. That's my first.
Yeah. So my take is this. I think a lot of the the heavy-handedness that the NCAA is using right now is because Harbaugh has been on the edge of the rules his entire career, and they don't like that. So I'll start with that. I think they're being a little too heavy-handed with this. Is this something that other teams do? Absolutely. I am not going to sit here and pretend that there's not a fan recording sidelines for sign stealing. One of my things is, it's excessive what you're doing, right? And so it is against the rules, the bylaws of the NCAA. So I get punishing him in some way. For me, this is like whatever. Like give him a slap on the wrist at worst. But I think since Jim Harbaugh has been living on the edge of the rules since he became an NCAA coach, throughout his whole career, they really just want to get him and they want to teach him a lesson or whatever. So they're making this a bigger deal than it is. Like I said, I think every other team does this, but it's like back in the days, like where recruiting violations were actually a thing. Everyone knew that people were paying recruits, and if you got caught, you got in trouble, right? Or you self-discipline.
Self-report,
yeah. So he got caught doing this, really, they sent an assistant to 33 games or something like that. You got caught. It is what it is. But for me, it's such a dumb thing that it doesn't really give you that big of an advantage, because teams are just going to switch it up anyway. But it doesn't give you that big of an advantage. So, but it is against the rules. So give them a small penalty because whatever. Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's a weird deal, right? Because technically this rule is a rule. It was made back in the 90s when they were trying to keep people with camcorders from being in the stands recording this shit. Fans are in the stands with their phones out all the fucking time. So it was made back when the have-nots could not afford to have somebody like this. It's an antiquated rule, basically, is what I'm getting at. The other thing about this is, and this is what we talked about a little bit in our text, and I'll let Chris elaborate because this was his take, but why in the world, why are you not changing up your signs at all? I grew up playing baseball. We changed our signs all the fucking time, especially in the middle of a game if you thought somebody caught on to what you were doing. If you're catching wind that somebody's getting your signs, change your fucking signs up. I don't.
Also, during the Chip Kelly era, when the signs became a thing, right? The physical hold up the signs with 4 different random things. They were different every week. You never knew
literally every week.
Literally every week, and it was literally a meme for a while of what are the cards this week? Blah, blah, blah. So I don't know. It just seems kind of whatever, but. Chris, go.
Multi-layered here. First off, I think the idea of going there purposely to film the sideline is a little bit sketch. But the idea of the rule itself that you're not allowed to in-person scout an opponent is freaking weird to me. That's just how it works. You should be able to go, but
in every sport.
I know, but it's it's interesting because how many coaches have come out and just blatantly said, yeah, this is just the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
Literally zero.
You had Rule come out and talk about how it happens. You have Dion. I actually loved Dion's take. He's like, you could know my entire game plan. You still got to stop it. And before people want to talk on Dion, because he said, it's not like baseball. If I know a curveball's coming, I know what to do. And I know there's probably people out there who are like, oh, what does this guy know about baseball? He's a college football coach. Yeah, he's played in a Super Bowl and a World Series. So shut up. He knows what the hell he's talking about. But he's right. You can know that. You can know that the sweep is coming, but you still have to stop it. And there's so many layers to that. I don't know, man. I think it's completely messed up. It's like I text you, you're a baseball guy, as am I, but it's multiple times in a game. Okay, this is the indicator, and then we're going to give you the sign, and then 3-4 innings in, okay, we're switching up. Nose is the indicator now. and okay, I think everything's revert, like all sorts of stuff to change it up constantly, so that people don't know what's coming. Like if you're using the same signs in week 12 that you were using week 1, like that's on you. You got to be smarter to figure these things out. And a good coach has those things in place, right? Like, okay, because it might be in the middle of the game that you realize that maybe they're picking up on what you're laying down. So you completely go to your plan B that everyone still knows what that is, but now it's no longer the second sign I give you is not the play. It's the fourth sign I give you. Little simple shit like that. And it's funny because like it all depends how it goes down, whether it's cute or annoying, right? So like Harbaugh doing this is annoying, and everyone's talking about, oh, just the sanctity of the game and blah 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 blah. But everyone else thought it was cute, you know, back in the day when the story of Mike Leach and the script, which I know you guys have all heard, right?
Yep.
Like the team literally grabbed a script and then decided to call plays against that fake script, but nobody was dogging, what was it, Texas or whatever, for literally stealing the playbook like at the time. Like so it's just funny. Like every team is trying to get an edge, and I don't care if you were filming me doing my signs. Like go old school. Like, and Harbaugh's old school enough, right? Okay, if they have every single one of my signs, guess what? We are bleeding clock. And we are going to take you all the way to 0. And every single play, my quarterback's running to the sideline, and I'm giving him the play in his ear. Simple as that.
Yeah. Well, going back to what Matt Rule said, too, he was like, it just tells you, like, we just need mics and helmets. We need the speakers and helmets. It's like, yeah, it's one of those things where, like, I've always been confused as, like, why that's just not a thing everywhere now. Again, obviously, in, like, some high schools that can't afford it. But, like, at Alabama, you can't have a speaker in the headset so the quarterback doesn't have to do that kind of crap. Like, yeah, he made a really good point. Like at high school games, you see technology on the sideline. In the NFL, you see technology on the sideline. In the NCAA, you see people giving hand signs with big poster boards. Like, it's just, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I think the whole thing, and Chris, you alluded to this, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Sending somebody to a game with their full intent is to record the sideline. That's probably not in the spirit of the sport.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. It's no different than like using technology or what like the Astros did to steal signs from a pitcher or a catcher is one thing, but like if I'm on second base and I can see the catcher without actually cheating, and I have a way to relay that to the batter, that's not cheating in my eyes. That was me being smart enough to understand the signs and relay them to my team. I wasn't using technology or going to practices and filming every single thing I could. So there is levels to it, but the idea of going in and scouting or trying to steal signs in general, I think is part of the game.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with that. And people that are trying to equate this to the Astros, it is that's apples and oranges.
It's far closer to Spygate.
Yes,
but I remember like back when I was playing football, there was a team that huddled right next to the ball. It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. They were literally like their center was like basically straddling the football, and they would call their play in the huddle and then tell me the snap count as a defensive lineman. I had a great game because when I knew the snap count, I had the advantage because they would just tell me the snap count. It's not cheating.
What are you supposed to do? Not listen to them?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's one of those things. Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's not cheating, man. He's got but it is one thing to just send somebody to like.
I think it's not in the spirit of the game, but is this like Ohio State fans are like, well, no wonder that Michigan beat the shit out of us 2 years in a row. It's like, no. This, you can maybe say 3 points from this. Like maybe. Ohio State got their ass whooped last year.
Yeah.
No, this had nothing to do with that.
No, not even remotely.
So. We don't need to beat this one down. I just wanted to touch on it because it's obviously the biggest story in Michigan. In our rankings is the #1 team in the country. So obviously that's a big deal with them being investigated. Are we going to get some sort of postseason ban? That would be nuts.
That'd be so dumb. I think that'd be dumb.
It's the NCAA, and I would not put anything past them.
Same.
All right. College football.
Yes.
Week 8 results. Let's talk about the Pac-12 first. Started off with the game that we care the most about, and that was Washington State at Oregon. This game went about as I thought it would. I think the Ducks struggled a little bit early on, more than I thought they might, but
yeah, definitely like a slower start than I thought would be in this game. But outside of that slow start,
outside of the slow start and the garbage time touchdown at the end of the game, this was a pretty complete effort.
That garbage time touchdown, I was so mad because that was my best bet this week, and they fucking ruined it with a garbage time touchdown that had a blatant holding at the point of attack. I was so goddamn mad. I think I texted you immediately. I was like, "What
you
the
did.
fuck?"
You did. It ruined my bet on the Oregon minus 20. It did give me my over bet, which ended up winning me about $265 in the parlay that I had. So I'm okay with it at the end of the day.
I was not, man. I was so upset, dude.
But
it was such a bad beat for me.
It was a bad beat. Couple takeaways I have from this. The Oregon defense is the real fucking deal. Those guys, and they didn't have their 2 starting corners. The backups struggled a little bit, but not when you got into key plays. They gave up chunk plays in the middle of the field, but they did not give up a big play over the top or any sort of like touchdown type plays. They gave up yards in the middle of the field. The pass rush is finally back at Oregon. Those guys up front can fucking get after it.
They get after it, man. They are. I mean, that game against Colorado was perfect. Like that was when I was just like, oh god, they're good.
Yeah,
like they are good. Could you imagine? Oh god, could you imagine if Kayvon Thibodeau was on this squad?
Oh my god, dude! Don't even start with that. Holy shit, that would be scary.
You know what's interesting about this Oregon defense is I think they're really, really solid, right? They're really good defense. Not a lot of takeaways. They are not. It's like the exact opposite of USC's defense.
I would take this all day.
Don't get me wrong. I would have this 100 out of 100 times than a USC defense that only gets by on turnovers. But yeah, I just kind of noticed like during the game, I was like, they really don't take the ball away a lot, except for on like, with 4th down, with like actually just beating them, which is cool.
They did
it's
get
fun
a pick
to see.
on Penix last week, but
they get takeaways, but they're just like
they don't live.
It's not a lot. I don't think it's the purpose of this defense.
It's
like
not.
They're not.
Isn't. And if you watch Georgia, it's not the purpose of their defense either, or wasn't under Lanning. It is being fundamentally sound and suffocating you.
Well, what it is, especially with this Mint defense, is like the big emphasis is the line of scrimmage and pass rushing and stuff. So really, where they're aggressive is not on pass, like on pass defense and in the secondary. Yeah. Where they are aggressive is up front with stunts and blitz to get to the quarterback to make him uncomfortable, so he throws incompletions.
Yep.
So,
fully agree. My takeaway number 2 is Bucky Irving should be getting some Heisman love. That dude can run the fucking rock as good as anybody out there.
Okay, tell me if I'm crazy here. I was watching the game with my dad, and I was sitting there and I was just like, this kid could go down as the best running back in Oregon history.
He has the best attributes of LaMichael James and Royce Freeman. Is he up there with Jay Stu yet? Probably not. But he's up there. He's up there in that top echelon of Oregon running backs. He can do anything you ask of him. Chris,
Chris
you
has
had
a
a
different
reaction.
opinion. Chris has an opinion. Chris is very high on J Stu, though.
No, I love Bucky Irving as much as the next guy. He is not in the LaMichael James, Jonathan Stewart, Ruma Drones stratosphere. Like he's not there. He's really, really good. He's not those guys.
What gets him there? Like genuine question. What gets him there?
But here's the deal.
Here's the deal. Is it just
Bucky
the hype
Irving-
of him? Because like maybe
No,
it's Bo
Bucky-
Nix
Bucky
that
Irving-
overshadows?
Is a really good running back. Okay, he gets his 100-yard games. He makes the right plays. Hard to tackle. Shows explosion now and then. LaMichael James was a legit threat to go 80 yards every single time he touched the ball. Every single time, right? And then Jonathan Stewart, that guy, 10-tool running back, could do it all. You put him in a modern offense behind some of these big hog mollies, as it were. He's torching defenses left and right. The thing is, like, Bucky is great, but I still feel when you look at the team, right, that like Bo Nix is the guy on offense, right? Like he is the guy. He has a guy that you can trust in Bucky, but he is the guy. Even when Darren Thomas was playing great, like Lil Mike was the guy. And we can all talk about Dennis Dixon till the cows come home, but Dennis Dixon had one good year at Oregon. One. Outside of that, Jonathan Stewart was the guy. So that's the kind of stratosphere. And again, like Reuben Drones is a guy who is pre us, but if you talk about anybody who was around at that time, like, dude, that guy was unreal. And I remember him from his NFL days. And yeah, he was a stud then. So do I love Bucky Irving? Of course I love Bucky Irving. Like he's top tier guy.
I have trouble because like I'm not quite there yet putting him up in that stratosphere. And he's got a whole other season, right?
True.
But like I have never seen somebody refuse to get tackled like him.
Jonathan Stewart's run against Houston, where he took 12 dudes on his back.
What'd you say? Sorry, I missed it.
Jonathan Stewart's run, I think that was his freshman year against Houston.
No, I'm not saying he didn't do it. I'm not saying like, oh, Jonathan Stewart was trash and Bucky Irving's the greatest.
That's exactly what I heard.
I know it's what you heard, but it's not what I'm saying. I'm like, this guy, he refuses to be tackled in a way that I haven't seen before, in a way that it's just like, how, like, I don't understand how he is still on his feet running the football. And obviously, well, Michael and J Stu were both great at that too. But I don't think he's got the same like breakaway speed. Obviously, the same vision. Like Michael James is the best vision of any running back I've ever seen in my goddamn life, right? And like, but like the way he just doesn't get like he will not go down. His yards after contact is just unbelievable to me.
Yeah, I mean, if we're looking statistically, Bucky Irving at Oregon last year averaged 6.8 yards per carry. This year he's averaging 7.5. LaMichael James in his Heisman runner-up season in 2010 averaged 5.9 yards per carry. Jonathan Stewart throughout his career averaged 5.6 yards per carry. So statistically, Bucky Irving's right there with those guys. And I think he looks the part like those guys. The other thing that I do not want this to sound like I'm dogging LaMichael at all, because LaMichael is my favorite Oregon football player maybe ever, right up there with Marcus. I fucking love LaMichael James, so I do not want this to get twisted at all. LaMichael James's those breakaway runs and the threat to go 80 yards was very much a product of the Chip Kelly system and teams not being used to that. That is what that Oregon team was built for, and that is what it created. Teams have adjusted to that now. Bucky Irving averaging 7.5 yards per carry this season is absurd. That's nuts. So,
God, man, I'm looking at rushing stats at Oregon right now. I did not. I totally forgot about Kenyon Barner running for 321 yards in
Dude,
one game.
I saw something that
Sorry.
2011 backfield for Oregon was Darren Thomas, LaMichael James, Kenyon Barner, and DeAnthony Thomas. Can we just for a second think about that? Holy shit.
That was
How did anybody stop anything?
okay. So speaking of that, during this Washington State game, there was one play in particular, Bucky Irving taking the ball at the sideline, and number 8 on Washington State, his controller died. He just stopped
That
playing
is what
football.
it looked like.
He just stopped playing football, wasn't looking, got pancaked by Patrick Herbert, I think.
Yep.
And it reminded me in a weird way of another Washington State player, speaking of DeAnthony Thomas, who was running with him, looking over his shoulder on either side, couldn't figure out how to tackle him. It was the same thing for me. It was just so funny to watch.
It was hilarious. Yeah, I mean, we could debate who's the better running back all day. All I know is the Oregon run game is ridiculous. It's going to be fully the reason that Bo Nix really isn't a serious Heisman contender, because Oregon could just hand the ball off every play and probably still win most.
It's pretty rare that a team's second best rusher on the team, who is also just an incredible running back, can go down and production doesn't go away.
If anything, it's got better, which is insane.
Jordan
Because
James,
Noah Whittington, Jordan James is the real deal.
he's got a bright future, boys.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it all year. Oregon's the most complete team in the pack. They show it week in, week out. I have some newly found discomfort with the kicking game, which is not fun for me. Camden
Newly
Lewis,
resurged, you mean?
yeah, resurfaced discomfort with the kicking game. Camden Lewis has been great throughout his career at Oregon. Last 2 weeks has been shaky at best. So,
Although
yeah.
here's the bright side to that. Here's the bright side is I've seen a lot more fans be like, "Oh, that's why Dan went for it on 4th down." Now, let's say Camden Lewis is a fantastic kicker, and he missed 2 kicks, but he'll be fine. He's going to be all reliable back again, right? But it is taking the narrative off Dan Lanning a little bit for his 4th down calls that we all justified.
When he missed that first field goal, I was looking at Twitter for all the why did we go for it on 4th down?
Yeah.
Sure as shit, there it was. I think it was all sarcastic, but it was still there. Yeah, complete game. Bo Nix looked great. Receivers look great. Running backs look great. Defense looked great. Really nothing to complain about here for Oregon.
Yeah.
For Washington State, the downslide continues.
Garbage time touchdown.
Downslide continues. Fortunately for them, they are now in the easiest stretch of their schedule. So I think Washington State still can have a pretty bright season coming off of 3 straight losses.
Yeah. I mean, I think they could win the next 3 games pretty easily.
Yeah.
Colorado.
Although Arizona State's looking better. Yeah,
They're
Colorado. We'll get to Colorado, but we'll get there. Yeah. Rest of the pack. The there was one marquee matchup this week, and that was Utah at USC. That game absolutely lived up to the hype, and then some. This Utah team, I really struggle with this game every year that's coming up, and we'll get to the previews of this week soon. I have so much respect for Kyle Whittingham and Utah that I struggle with this week every year when Oregon has to play them.
Twitter this week has been fantastic for this matchup. It's just a whole bunch of football fans that love each other. Like we got no reason to hate each other. We're just like, hey, you're the other team this week.
Utah fans have a weird love triangle. It's a weird deal.
I've gone into their subreddit, just like, I think I told you guys about that. I think I told the listener about this when I went to their subreddit to defend Kyle Whittingham, and I got so much love because I was a Duck fan, and they're like, "We always root for you guys if you're not playing us," kind of stuff, and I was like, All right, Utah. All right,
This
see
is
you.
weird. But anyway, back to this game. Utah comes out on top. Cole Becker, former Colorado kicker, ends up with the game winner as time expires.
And talk about right
USC,
down the
man.
tube too.
Oh my gosh, freaking pipe!
You couldn't draw up more in
a
the middle.
straighter line. No, you couldn't. Caleb Williams has another meh performance. It wasn't bad, wasn't great. 24 of 34, 256 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. I don't know if he's just feeling the pressure. If you take Caleb Williams off this USC team, they're not making a bowl game. That's how bad I think the rest of this team is right now. The O-line is Swiss cheese. The defense is as bad as there is in the Pac-12. Maybe as bad as there is in the country. This team is bad without Caleb Williams.
I was watching when I was watching this game, I was shocked to find out that Caleb Williams had only been sacked once. Or wait, no, 3 times. 3 times. I was shocked that he only been sacked 3 times because he should have been sacked 7 or 8 pretty easily. Pretty easily. If it wasn't Caleb Williams, he would have been sacked 7 or 8 times in this game.
Who would have thought there would have been a week
back there?
Yeah, who would have thought there would have been a week in college football where Caleb Williams and Michael Penix combined for no touchdowns?
Yeah, jeez.
And was that I cannot be the only one too. Granted, it wasn't as long back in 2009, but that run by Bryson Barnes eerily reminiscent of the 4th and 3 run by Jeremiah Mazzoli, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yep. And then flipping this to the other side, Utah, just hard to find a more resilient, tough, well-coached team than Utah. Just every year they don't fill the talent gap that like USC and Oregon and Washington have at times. But man, you're not going to find a team that's more fundamentally sound and just playing their heart out every
single damn year. This defense plays perfect fundamental football, and it almost pisses me off. Like you're just like, man, like make a mistake, god damn it.
Somebody screw up. Fuck.
Screw up. Oregon needs to score a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean,
what was that kid's name? Though, thank you for what was it, Kalen? What was that kid's name?
Yeah,
Clay. Something Clay.
Yeah, Clay.
Dropping that ball.
Saved 2014, man. That saved a playoff berth.
Thank God for that.
So that was Utah USC. Just good shit from Utah, and USC on the verge of probably having a 4-loss, maybe 5-loss season.
Now, have you seen all the nonsense coming out of SC over the last few days?
I haven't.
Right, let's get to it.
Are you serious?
I don't think I have.
Let's get to it. So after the game, Lincoln Riley did not let players talk to the media.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Which has never happened in the history of USC and is just total bitch boy behavior.
Yeah. I did see that. Sorry, I did see that.
It's not
There's
over.
more, Eli. There's more.
Not over. Then after that, this is not what Chris is alluding to, but there's all this chatter about, I think it was Emmanuel Acho on Twitter saying that Caleb Williams should sit out the rest of the season.
Nonsense.
And declare for the draft. That would, if he did that, he would be undraftable to me by an NFL team.
Do you know if he did that?
Don't do that.
If he did that, it would put a major hole in the current NIL system. Yep. Major. Do you think boosters are giving this guy the reported millions upon millions of dollars to sit? Oh, no. They are paying him to play. And if he sits, so his money goes bye-bye. That's how this works. He's not sitting.
No, ain't no way. And then this week, Lincoln Riley has missed the last 2 practices at USC due to an undisclosed illness.
Urban Meyer? Is that you?
I don't know if he has
Is
COVID.
that you, Urban?
He probably has COVID or something because that's still a thing. But USC's in shambles right now.
Now,
Good.
he missed the 2 practices, but did you see Oklahoma fan chiming in on this? So it's interesting because he missed a practice. So wide receiver coach Dennis Simmons took over and did the media availability. Well, in November of 2021, whatever year it was, this was the exact same thing that happened at Oklahoma, where after taking, his lumps, all of a sudden he was not showing up. And then Lincoln Riley was not at practice for a personal matter. And Dennis Simmons did the media availability. And 3 weeks later, it was announced that Lincoln Riley was going to USC. So Oklahoma fan was all over this, like, bro, deja vu. Where have we heard this before? This is kind of creepy because we have seen this exact story play out. And hey, maybe he's really sick, but I mean, here's the thing. When you're at the level that he is, and I know this from working with guys, the professional athletes that I've had a chance to work with, optics, and optics, right? And the optics of, I just lost a tough game, didn't allow my student athletes to talk to the media. All eyes are on me, and then I don't show up. No. Unless the school's reporting I have COVID and I got to stay home, you are showing up to practice sick, because the last thing you can afford to do is not be there.
Well, I'm fully aboard the Lincoln Riley is a fraud train. The amount of talent he's had at USC and the amount of talent he has had at Oklahoma and to not have really much to show for that, especially I mean, you have the best quarterback in the country right now. To be 2 down already this soon in the season, unacceptable. And like we've talked about with Alex Grinch, like, he's got to have something on Lincoln Riley. The fact that he hasn't been left on the tarmac is... Well,
I mean, there's a history here now at multiple stops with defenses that can't stop a nosebleed. Yeah. It's unreal. Like, I don't think that they're the same when it comes to coaching, but I mean, like, what is Mark Helfrich without Marcus Mariota, right? Without a Heisman quarterback, arguably one of the best quarterbacks in college football history. So what's Lincoln Riley without the same? It's quite interesting. And I mean, no coach wants their name thrown in there right next to Clay Helton with the same exact record through the exact same amount of games. And then, like you said, it's just when you do the clown behavior on top of it, right? Like, I mentioned this on radio yesterday because I was asked about this Lincoln Riley, because my journalism background too. I hate when nope, not talking to the media. Like, nope, that's part of the deal here. But it's interesting because USC loses a really tough game, says nope, no one's talking to the media. Oregon goes into Washington, loses a really tough game, and then Dan Lanning sends the face of his team out to the media in Bo Nix, and Bo Nix gives you a soundbite of the year about basically perseverance and leadership and the things that matter outside of football. So what are you protecting Caleb Williams and everyone else from? Like, do you not trust your own team to go out there and be mature adults and responsible? Are you protecting them from a soundbite? Like, what are you doing? So again, compare it to Oregon, because Oregon, if this is the precedence that USC is setting, then Oregon could have said, nope, no athletes talking, tough loss. No, they sent their quarterback out there, and he, like a true leader, took it on the chin. Tim Tebow, right? The now famous, like, you're never going to see anybody work as hard as I'm going. Yeah, that's cheesy. But again, that was a guy facing the fire after a tough loss. So this whole, like, nope, the players aren't going out there, nonsensical.
Based on how Caleb Williams looked at the end of that game, I have a feeling, I bet Lincoln Riley was protecting himself, because if Caleb comes out and goes, this coaching staff is bullshit, how are we letting our defense be this bad? How are we letting our offensive line be this bad to where I can't cook?
Like, you know what's interesting about that point?
I can see that happening.
what's interesting about that point is with the aforementioned NIL and the fact that your quarterback is now legally getting paid millions upon millions, he doesn't have to keep his mouth shut anymore, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the whole thing is bizarre, but it also it does show it tells me a lot about Lincoln Riley. And I sent the fraud alert thing to you guys with him, and he's being out recruited by Dan Lanning in his home state, California. USC continues to be out recruited by Oregon. Just think about that for a second. You guys are paying this guy how much to get out recruited by Oregon? That just can't sit well for a USC fan. Why do you think they were trying to keep Oregon out of the Big Ten? Whole thing sends up red flags. I do feel bad for Caleb Williams because this is putting question marks on his ability. I saw sound bites all week about everything we see from Caleb Williams is off schedule. I haven't seen him able to go through progressions, blah, blah, blah. There's red flags. Is he really the number one pick? He doesn't have fucking time to go through progressions. He's running for his life on every play. I'm not on the Caleb Williams is going to be a bust in the NFL train, but he's certainly not learning anything in college right now that's going to help him.
No, it's pretty terrible.
And I'm sure every
quarterback out there,
NFL scout, actual scout out there is going, I know why he's not performing right now.
Now, to be fair, all of Caleb Williams' highlight plays are the off-schedule ones, but that's the same with Patrick Mahomes. So, let's not hold that against him. Caleb Williams is a smart quarterback, and he's got all the tools. So I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not on the
Russell Wilson made a career off of off-schedule plays.
A lot of guys have made careers off of.
I mean, imagine Caleb Williams with an offensive line. I mean, ooh.
Scary.
Yeah.
He's already scary without one. So yeah, I mean, USC, dire straits. The panic meter would be at amber level if I was a USC fan right now, just with how much you owe Lincoln Riley and what you're seeing out of him the first 2 years. And all he does is continue to defend his defense, which is atrociously bad. Pretty nuts.
I mean, if Caleb Williams, or excuse me, not Caleb Williams, if Lincoln Riley left tomorrow, does he leave USC in a better spot than when he inherited it?
No.
And the answer is no, right? Oregon fan can crap on Willie Taggart all they want. Willie Taggart left Oregon in a much better place than when he inherited it.
Same
with
Cristobal.
Change Oregon, right? Gary Anderson burned Oregon State to the ground. Now, if Jonathan Smith leaves tomorrow, he left Oregon State in a much better place than when he left it. If Kalen DeBoer left today, he left Washington in a much better place than when he inherited it. You can't say that about Lincoln Riley, which is saying something when this guy is billed as one of the top coaches in all of college football. If he can't take a place and leave it better than when he inherited it, then how good is he? It's crazy. Dude, Steve Sarkisian, if he leaves tomorrow, he left Texas in a better spot than when he inherited
100%.
it. And this is the guy that USC once had. Same with Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss, right? So what is Lincoln Riley? Very, very interesting because, again, I don't know if I'm willing to say complete fraud yet, but the fact that it's even out there is staggering.
Just so you guys are aware,
Sure.
USC is in the bottom 4 of every category except for passing yards per game on their defense in the Pac-12. Bottom 4 of the Pac-12, bottom 3rd in every category except passing yards per game.
Passing yards allowed per game?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, that should be unacceptable at USC, and yet here we are.
And
with
USC
the coach not showing up.
They have the worst run defense in the Pac-12.
You've got
and
those
USC,
stats floating
man.
out there, and your coach doesn't show up to practices on a game week.
Here are a couple schools with a better rush defense than USC. The Florida Atlantic Owls.
My God.
The Kent State Golden Flashes. The Yukon Huskies. Toledo
Yikes.
Rockets, Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns, the Stanford Cardinal, Akron Zips. These are all teams that have a better rush defense than USC.
It's bad. That's bad. Chris, what were you going to say?
I don't even know what I was gonna say. I was gonna say the fact that you talk about these numbers and they end the season with Washington, Oregon, and UCLA.
They're going to lose those 3 games.
Bang bang. I mean, UCLA is. This is not Chip Kelly homerism. They're a better team than USC.
100%.
Chip Kelly has that team playing on both sides of the ball, man.
That UCLA defense is fucking for real.
They're good.
For real. They kind of shit the bed against Oregon State. Other than that, that UCLA defense is the real deal. Yeah, USC has a very good chance after this Cal game. They might not win again. It's very possible.
That would be satisfying.
Here's the real question. The Washington Huskies, maybe one of the worst rushing teams in the entire country. They are bad. They won that game this weekend that we haven't even talked about with 13 yards rushing. Like
13 rushing yards.
They are bad on the ground. They might still be able to put up about 200 against that USC defense. Like
they average 103.9 yards per game.
103. They average Bucky Irving per game, and Oregon has like multiple of those guys. Like
per game.
Teams that have a better rush offense than Washington: Florida International Panthers, Eastern Carolina Pirates, Kent State Golden Flashes. Again, the Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders. Florida Atlantic Owls again. The Stanford fucking Cardinal again.
Yeah, it's wild. Let's get into that Washington-Arizona State game, shall we? Because this was the most surprising game of the weekend for sure. Washington looked absolutely stuck in the mud, which Eli, I'm going to give us mad props because we called big game hangover. Chris was the one saying this was going to be a blowout.
Thought it was.
Did not happen that well.
Should have been. Absolutely should have been.
I'll eat it. I'll eat this one because it gave me a great football game to watch that night.
It was a great football game, and Arizona State should have won. And I'm dying on that hill. Arizona State got absolutely fucked by typical Pac-12 ref bullshit.
Contact deemed legal, despite the fact that he almost ripped his jersey off.
That was so bad.
The most blatant pass interference call maybe ever was waved off. They threw the fucking flag too, and then they waved it off.
Some Vikings fans might disagree with you. Was it Vikings or Saints? Saints fans?
Saints.
I don't remember. Whatever.
I'm talking college football.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the NFL. Arizona State deserved to win this game. They should have won this game. Michael Penix was completely held in check on Saturday. Looked totally off schedule.
Have you guys seen all the Twitter stuff about that game? Where it's like it was like those refs that the Pac-12 refs making business decisions right now. Cannibalization, not this year.
It did feel that way.
It do.
Yeah, Arizona State should have won this game. There's just no two ways about it. If they had a little more talent on that team, they end up winning.
I don't know if you guys saw this stat during the game, but that was the first time that the Huskies have gone without a offensive touchdown since 2001.
So that's the time.
That is through the Jake Locker 0-8 or 0-12 year.
That's pretty wild.
Jake Locker scored a touchdown while going 0-12 in every single game. This is the first time since I think it was 2001 that they haven't been they hadn't scored an offensive touchdown.
They still won.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was just hoping for like the narrative and the storyline, like after beating Oregon, which has been like so awesome for, former Oregon offensive coordinator Kenny Dillingham to go knock Washington off. Like,
Yeah, right.
that'd be pretty cool. But here's the thing. I mean, Dillingham deserves a little bit of credit, man, because they look like a much different team since being blanked by Fresno State. He must have said something in the locker room to get them going. They've lost their last 3 games by a combined 14 points. Like they're in these games. Granted, their last 3 games, 2 of those have been Cal and Colorado, 2 of the teams that are in the conversation with Arizona State as the worst in the conference. But still, I mean, you have to show up and be competitive, and then to come in and be competitive against the top 5 team in the country. And like Jamie said, should have won that game. Mainly if they had better quarterback play. His decision making is like, oh my gosh, like. I don't know. His brain is like that of a 5-year-old's in a candy store, like sensory overload. Can't decide what's going on. Like that pick 6 he threw. It's like, why even throw that ball?
Oh,
like,
such a bad decision.
He almost had one before that too, where like he was falling down and then just like chucked it up a couple plays before that, and that was a terrible decision. But I like what Arizona's doing. I like the fact that Arizona State's playing a little bit of ball right now, man. Defensively, maybe they watched that Oregon film pretty thoroughly to pick up on some things, because defensively they looked like a juggernaut that game.
Yeah, unfortunately for Arizona State, you're coming up on a stretch of football that is Washington State at home, which is winnable. Then you got Utah, UCLA, and Oregon, all in November before the what is the Arizona game? I forget what they call that.
Oh no, the Sun
Desert Bowl.
There you go. against another team that
Territory Cup
looks must improved, or
Arizona for sure.
Much improved from the beginning of the season. And Fafita, man, whoo, he's playing ball.
Fafita is balling.
Last game of the weekend was UCLA Stanford. UCLA did what Colorado should have done last week, got out to that 21-0 lead at halftime, and then didn't let up and just ended up curb stomping Stanford 42-7. Not much to talk about there. UCLA is really good.
Yeah. This is, it has to be the best defense Chip Kelly's ever had. And it like can't even
that
be close.
defense is for real, man. They're good.
I don't know. I think some people sleep on the defense that he had in the national championship game against Auburn. And some,
I agree. That defense.
That was
ballers
a good defense.
on that team.
That was a good defense.
Ballers
they were
on
like
that team.
they weren't great during the season. They were really good during the season, but during the national championship game, they played almost perfect.
Yeah, but they also had Nick bend but don't break Aliotti as the coordinator. I mean,
that's what I mean. But like, yeah, like so they didn't like. But when they like locked down Auburn like that, oof. And Michael Dyer was down. Everyone was listening or
down.
Watching. Michael Dyer was down. I will go to my grave.
He's basically laying on the ground.
He was fully on the ground. He actually took a nap on the ground and then got up and ran for that 23 yards or whatever it was.
All right, other notable results throughout the college football landscape. It was a wild weekend. Not a lot of upsets at the end of the day. There were a couple, but definitely a lot of scares. You know, Washington, Arizona State was one. You had Oklahoma struggling with UCF. UCF had a 2-point conversion with a minute left to tie that they couldn't come up with. Texas probably should have lost to Houston with one of the worst third down spots I've maybe ever seen. Again, I think there's some NFL fans that would disagree with that from this past weekend, but Houston arguably should have won that game. Texas also loses Quinn Ewers for 3 to 4 weeks with an injury. So that's one to keep an eye on, with Texas fighting to get back in the playoffs. Now, Malik Murphy, from all reports, is as good or better than Quinn Ewers. So they may not struggle too much, but we'll see. It's something to keep an eye on. Iowa loses on one of the weirdest calls I've ever seen. I'm assuming you guys all saw so Iowa couldn't score a touchdown, which is not surprising. in this game. This game ended up Minnesota winning 12-10. But again, with around a minute left, Iowa punt returner, I forget his name, was running over and basically waving guys away from the ball because it was a bad punt or over to the side. And he was kind of waving them away, grabbed the ball, ran it back for a touchdown, and then they called it back because they said he called for a fair catch. What are your thoughts on that?
When I first saw the play happen, I was like, what? But then they showed it in replay again, and I could see how the ref saw that. Because when he's running sideways to the ball and his backhand is doing circles, which is, if you watch college football a lot, not much less than you see a lot of really shitty fair catch calls. So I get it. It sucks because that would have been a really cool way for that game to end. But I don't know. It's not as controversial as I think it's been made out to be. I think it was technically the right call in that situation.
Yeah, I fully agree. It's just like an unfortunate circumstance.
And that seems to be kind of the narrative in a lot of the media too, is like a lot of people are like, it happens like that. That's part of the game sometimes. So
yep.
Is a
the
Francis
only not sorry, go ahead.
No, I was changing subject, so.
Oh, the only nonsensical part about that is it's clearly stated in the rule book, right? A valid signal is for a fair catch. A valid signal is a signal given by a player of Team B, which is the receiving team, who has obviously signals his intention by extending one hand clearly above his head and waving that hand from side to side. His hand was never above his head.
Yeah.
It was clearly out to the side. It was clear what he was doing. I mean, it was clear that was a botched call. I have never seen that particular signal be called a fair catch on the field ever. And that was like, I've never seen a player go, the fair catch, and then call it.
I have many times where they do this, where they come back and they go, it happens all the time.
Here's
it's a last minute. Like,
yeah, but here's the thing, like to your motion you just did, it's even if it wasn't the clear, above the head, it's this motion, it's the same motion whether it's above the head or right here. You see him do this all the time. His hand was out extended and it was like this. It was literally the get away. Like, I don't think so. I don't think so. Especially if you see the from the end zone straight on him angle. It definitely looks like it's just out, like it's a getaway, which is another signal that we've seen a ton of times. So I respectfully disagree here because I do not think here. That
you're
was
wrong, bitch.
Yeah, well, fucking.
Alabama should be
the best running back too. Sometimes you're right all the time, and you have to deal with people who aren't right. I get it. It's my life. Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I have to agree with Chris. Eli, what you're talking about is the late fair catch where they're standing under it and they just kind of throw their arm out, but they're waiting for the ball right here. That's a fair catch. He's running, pointing with one hand, signaling like this horizontally with the other. It does go up a little. I don't see how you call that a fair catch. It's very clear what his intent is there, and it was not for that to be a fair catch, in my opinion.
I don't know, man. I see how he made the call. Anyways,
if this was Pac-12 refs, you'd be ragging on them. You're just hoping Big Ten refs are better than.
I mean, I see it. I don't know. That's just me. I see it. Why he made that call.
Oof, man! If that was an Oregon return that cost them.
Well, okay, you can't sit here and be like, if that was an Oregon thing, because I'm 100% biased. Of fucking course, I'm going to be bitching about it. But I'm not hiding the fact that I'm biased on that.
I do want to point out real quick too. why again, I think this is an obvious botched call. I'm watching the play again as you guys are talking about it. Multiple things stand out to me. First off, if it was a fair catch and the ref truly thought it was a fair catch, the minute he touched the ball, there would have been a whistle blown. Secondarily, there was no flag thrown, because if you call for a fair catch and then attempt to advance the ball, that is an illegal play, and the flag would have been thrown. There is no whistle by the ref to indicate the end of the play, and there is no flag thrown to indicate that the player attempted to forward progress the ball after making the fair catch signal. So two blatant things right there prove that the real ref in real time thought it was a legal play.
Fair catch.
Huh?
I didn't see that they called it an illegal fair catch. I just thought they called it a fair catch.
Also, very clearly, nobody on Minnesota thought that was a fair catch, because they were trying to hit him immediately. Nobody on the field thought that that was a fair catch.
I guess. I don't know. I see how he would have made. I could see how he would have called that a fair catch, but the rest of it doesn't add up.
Referees had a Minnesota money line big.
100%. 100%. That is 100% what happened. No doubt about it. On to the actual upset of the week. Virginia was widely regarded at the beginning of the year as the worst team in football. And they went into North Carolina and won. There's really nothing to describe this other than massive upset.
And yikes.
Yikes, if you're North Carolina.
Virginia's only win is outside of North Carolina is against William and Mary.
Hey, those two are pretty good, though.
That was a dumb joke, but I loved every second of it. So by transitive property, William and Mary is better than Miami.
Oof. Yep, so that was the upset of the week. Alabama takes care of Tennessee. No problems there. Florida State beats Duke. If Duke's quarterback, Riley Leonard, stayed in this game, I think we're talking about a different outcome. Did you guys watch this game at all?
I was not able to watch this game.
But I was torn.
You were torn.
I was torn on the pick'em because of the health of him going in. Like yeah. I thought, I was like, if he's 100% healthy, because you guys know over the weeks I am not a believer in Florida State in the least. I think they are fool's gold with a cupcake schedule, and I was like, gosh, I think Duke is the better team. It's just quarterback health is a question, and that plays out.
Yep. I think watching the game, I think if Riley Leonard stayed in this game, Duke wins. Looking at the score at the end, Florida State won by 18 points. That was 21 unanswered in the fourth quarter with Duke not having their quarterback in. I truly believe it's at least close if Riley Leonard stays healthy. So unfortunate for them, but Florida State survive in advance. That's what happened for them. Michigan continues to roll. Michigan State might now be the worst team in the country without a head coach. That team has just looked like a total shell of a football team ever since Mel Tucker's
they just haven't even looked like they belong on the field.
Nope, they are very bad. And then the game of the week, Penn State, Ohio State, lived up to the billing. It was a defensive struggle. Ohio State came out on top. It was 20-12, never really seemed that close. Ohio State was pretty clearly the better team in this one.
Yeah, so I this was throwing up some flags for me for Ohio State because of the defense is no question here. The defense is good, and so is Penn State's defense is really good as well. But Drew Aller looked awful in that game. He could not hit the broadside of a barn with a football. He was so inaccurate all game. And I'm thinking if he was remotely accurate during this game, Ohio State loses this by at least a touchdown. Right. And because his receivers were fairly open. So as if I was an Ohio State fan, I'd be like, yikes, because Drew Aller looked awful. Like not just like not good, he looked awful.
Yeah, I mean, to your
he
point,
could barely grip the ball.
He was 18 of 42.
Yeah,
on Saturday. That's real bad.
Awful, and it obviously some of that is Ohio State's defense being good, but I mean even on the plays where like he had a wide open receiver, he just wasn't even close. It was wild to watch because he's a pretty good quarterback generally, but he was bad in this game, and I think it's a different game if he is even remotely a shell of himself.
I agree. And I think this solidifies to me that Michigan's the best team in the Big Ten. Ohio State should not struggle on offense as much as they have at times this year. The first half against Indiana, they looked inept. Against Notre Dame, only scoring 17 points, not good. The first half against Maryland wasn't good. Purdue, they kind of blew out. And then in this game, they couldn't score. And again, some of that's Penn State's defense, but there's definite red flags with Ohio State. And I think Michigan pretty clearly to me, although they haven't played anyone, they're playing the most complete football. It's kind of like Oregon, playing the most complete football in the Big Ten.
I just watched this going, everyone in the Big Ten's talking about how Washington and Oregon and UCLA, USC are all in for a rude awakening when they get to the Big Ten and have to play Big Ten football. I watched these two teams battle it out to a 20-12 game going, okay, have fun stopping the Michael Penix offense or I know that teams change, but you get what I'm saying. Have fun stopping the Oregon offense. Have fun stopping the Husky offense. Have fun stopping the USC offense. Now, again, their defense, the Iowa would probably score 50 on them, but here's the thing. USC is probably going to score 60. Pac-12 teams moving on are going to be just fine.
Just fine.
Oregon beats both these teams by 20 right now. That's what I said watching this game. Like it's not that good. But they're going to continue to win because the rest of the Big Ten is garbo after these three teams.
Yeah, there's three teams in the Big Ten. Everyone else is bad, pretty much.
Bad. We're talking about Nebraska having a chance at winning the Big Ten West. Like, that's a legitimate conversation right now. So if that tells you anything about the state of the Big Ten, it's not great. All right, that gets us to our top 25. We are all over the place this week.
My bad.
All over the place.
Had a lot of
I also flipped mine, or I had some pretty big shifts in mine. I took this week as kind of a reset. I didn't even look at my last week's top 25. I just did a new one. So with that said, our cumulative top 25 with the top 5, we've got Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State, Georgia, Washington. 6 through 10, we've got Oklahoma, Oregon, Texas, Alabama, Penn State, followed by Oregon State, Ole Miss, Utah, Mizzou, Notre Dame, LSU, Air Force, Duke, Louisville, North Carolina round out the top 20, and then rounding out the top 25, we have UCLA, Tennessee, Tulane, USC, and James Madison. I feel pretty good about that as a cumulative effort.
Yeah, I think it's not bad. Not bad at all, gang.
The some of the major differences, me, Chris, and Cameron all have Michigan at number 1. Eli has Ohio State at number 1, with Michigan jumping into the top 4 now at number 3. So he's starting to give Michigan some love. You're getting there.
Yeah. I mean, when I know I was just like talking trash about Ohio State a little bit, but they're undefeated. When you look at Michigan versus Ohio State, right now, Ohio State has a far superior schedule, like far and away superior schedule, and they're undefeated as well. So I keep them there for now, even though I'm like, ooh, that didn't look good.
Yeah, I mean, really, the difference between these two is how much weight are you putting on the eye test versus the pedigree.
Yeah.
That's what, and you're.
I also
weighing the
really
pedigree
like
more.
Ohio. I really like Ohio State's defense though. This year, but
It is very good. I also like that game's going to be nuts. The Michigan Ohio State game is going to be nuts. Especially now that Michigan can't steal signs.
That's it. That's the game changer, man. That's why Ohio State's number one right there.
I hope, because Ohio State fans are so insufferable. I hope Michigan, now that this is done and they're not going to be still doing this for the rest of the year. I hope Michigan just goes in and kicks the shit out of them again, just to shut those fuckers up one more time. And then I'm just gonna be rooting for Oregon to do it, obviously.
Gosh,
obviously.
Yeah, like if I lived in Ohio, like I would troll so bad. Like I would go on Amazon right now and buy a drone, and then I would paint it Michigan maize and blue, and then I would just fly it over Ohio State practices just to troll the shit out of the world.
Crash it in there. Like get like a cheap shitty drone and crash it.
Yeah.
Into
the
their
50-yard
practice
line. Watch TMZ pick that up. Michigan Wolverine drone crashes at Ohio State practice.
That'd be hilarious, actually.
Hey, we know somebody who's attending Ohio State currently. We should get him to do that.
We should get him to do that. That'd be pretty funny.
Yeah, so that's our top 25. Let's get into this upcoming week. We are done, I believe, with bye weeks in the Pac-12. We have full slate the rest of the way. Oh, wait, no. USC has a bye week on rivalry weekend because they don't play Notre Dame that weekend this year. But for the rest of it, we're going to have a full slate of games. So let's just go in order of game time. Again, Oregon, the first game to kick in the Pac-12 with the 1:30 Mountain time slot. 12:30 Pacific on Fox. We've got Oregon going to Salt Lake. We will be there. Chris won't be there. The three of us will be there.
I'm so jealous.
You got basketball season.
I do. OSAA state championship starting. I'm going to be a busy man.
Yep.
But we will be at this game. How do you guys see this one playing out? Current line is Oregon -7.
I honestly like that line. I would probably lean Oregon covering on this. As much as I respect Utah and what they've done this year, this is going to be simultaneously the best offense and the best defense. Second best defense they faced this year, possibly best defense they faced this year. And as much as Barnes is balling out in a good system, and as great as this defense is, I just think Oregon's the better team here. And I see this being one of those games that is pretty well circled on the Oregon schedule to go out and win, and especially after last year with what might have been a better Utah team winning this game with a broken quarterback with Oregon. That was granted in Autzen, which is a whole other thing. But I just like Oregon on this. I like this kind of 7-10 point area.
Yeah, I am in agreement. I've got Oregon in this one. I think it's probably more like the 10 to 14 point area. Again, that's not a knock on Utah. Just Oregon is the most complete team that Utah is going to have faced. And when you've got UCLA holding them to 7 points and Oregon State holding them to 7 points and Oregon being at minimum on par with those teams defensively, I just don't see any way that they can do it. And then with the three-headed monster that is the Oregon offense being able to score any which way they want to, I don't think that they're going to be able to hold them off the scoreboard enough. Chris.
Yeah, I mean, look at their schedule, right? So good defense in UCLA, they don't score a lot of points. good defense in Oregon State. They score a single touchdown. Now, Barnes played a couple drives in that game, wasn't the guy yet, but then they go out and you can look at them like, oh, they're starting to move the ball. They scored 34 points each of the last 2 games. It was Cal and USC. Like, let's not get over our skis here. This is what's going to happen here is I saw this defense up close and personal at the Oregon State game. You guys might come away with the same takeaway. I think they're the best defense in the conference. I absolutely do. Defense, they don't make a lot of mistakes. All 11 guys are at the right spot, making great plays. But the thing is, they're going to have to rely on running the ball, which is what they do. And that front 7 of Oregon is going to give them fits up front. And if they can't run the ball, they're going to have to rely on what? Their pass game. So do you trust Barnes if they're relying on him to beat the Oregon defense? I don't. I think Oregon wins. I think they cover. I think it's close early, but I think Oregon eventually pulls away in this one.
Yeah, I would agree with the close early.
Yeah.
And Oregon's been slow starting. That's just a thing. So close early. I won't even be surprised if they're down in the first quarter at some point.
This is the type of game where Utah's really good, Jamie, but if they jumped out just because of happenstance, if they're up 14-zip early, I'm like not worried, because you're going to find that point where they can't move the ball on you anymore, and you're going to break that defense and start moving the ball. And eventually, I would not be worried.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Saying it out loud.
100%.
Yep. Oregon by 10, 1 2-point conversion, 4 for 5 on 4th downs.
2-point conversion, Oregon by 10. Okay, so you didn't. Okay. How much on 4th downs?
4 for 5 on 4th downs.
Holy shit. 5 4th down attempts?
No field goals
How much money did you
attempted.
put on this
No
parlay?
field goals attempted.
Wow. Okay.
Plus
so
12,000 right now.
Are you? I was gonna say, are you putting that in? Because that's something else.
I could make it an
You
alternate
probably
bet.
should. You just put like $2 on that.
I really should.
He's doing it. I see it. I see it
You
in his
absolutely
eyes.
should do that. All right. Next game on the slate, we've got USC at California. Current line is USC minus 11. That feels low.
Hold
to
on one
me.
second. I was on the wrong page.
Although, if they don't have a coach, maybe that line is right.
Man, Cal's offense has potential to pop off. And if you're gonna pop off, you're gonna pop off against USC. So I kind of like. I mean, I think USC wins this game. I don't think it feels close, but I think it is closer than I could see a 10-point win out of this. With that defense, nothing's off the table.
Yep. I think USC wins this and covers. This is a nice bounce back game. They're not going to be looking ahead after 2 straight losses, as they easily could have with the slate ahead of them after this. But they won't be. I think they're going to come out and play angry. They're going to give up points because the defense just sucks. No matter how angry they are, they're going to give up points. But I think Caleb Williams comes out and kind of lights up Cal's defense.
Oh, yeah, Lincoln Riley hasn't talked to the media, but I'm pretty sure he talked to the team and said, guys, we got to come out big. This is the last game that we actually have a chance to win for the rest of the year. We got to show them what we're made of. USC wins.
Cameron?
Yeah, USC wins.
USC wins. All right. Next up, we've got 5 o'clock kickoff at the Farm in Stanford, Washington at Stanford. Current line is Washington minus 26.5.
That feels low.
That feels like an overreaction to them struggling against Arizona State.
Yeah, no, I don't see it being that close. Also, the 59.5 over under seems low. Maybe not. I mean, because Stanford might not score.
I think that's
fine.
I think that's
Probably
about
fine.
right. This feels like a 49-7 type game.
Yeah, hold on. I'm just doing a little bit of math here.
And Washington's not going to step off the gas, by the way, because they're going to use this as a stat padding game for Michael Penix after his struggles last week.
Yeah, it's good. I guess so. I mean, what is that? They're predicting a 33-20. Never mind. I did the math wrong. Never mind. That doesn't math.
Math hard.
Math don't math.
Yeah. You know who would have known the math off the top of his head without even thinking twice? David Shaw. But he's not walking through those doors. Washington big.
Those hallowed halls.
Yeah, Chris, that math still doesn't math. Doesn't matter who's trying to do it. 29.5 and a 59.5 over under. Math doesn't math.
Easy math. You see, you take the over under and you minus the spread, and then you get points. It's pretty simple, guys. I know I failed math more than once, but it's just because I wasn't paying attention and didn't like it.
Cameron, who you got this one?
Washington. Yeah, I mean, I have them. I have them at minus 29.5.
Washington's probably going to win this by 40.
Yeah. That's easy money.
Yeah.
If they lay two stinkers in a row, though, then I think you're concerned. If you're a Husky fan,
For sure.
If it's close in this game, you have to be like, whoa.
If it's even close at halftime, because Stanford has shown a complete inability to be close at halftime against anybody. Yeah. All right, next we've got Colorado at UCLA. Line is UCLA minus 17.5.
I like UCLA. I like UCLA to cover. We've seen Colorado struggle with the pass rush. This UCLA defense has a good pass rush against a bad Colorado offensive line. I expect UCLA to cover this.
Yeah, UCLA might run for 500 yards on Saturday. That is entirely possible. And I think Colorado's going to score some. They're going to come out with some stuff off the bye week that UCLA is probably not anticipating. But at the end of the day, I think UCLA covers.
Similar to what I said with Oregon, where if Utah jumped out to an early lead, I wouldn't be concerned. I wouldn't be concerned and wouldn't be surprised if Colorado's up something like 10-zip or 14-3 early in this one until UCLA finds the groove and figures out what they need to do to stop them. I think UCLA wins this one.
Cameron?
Yeah, Colorado's got a tough road. UCLA's they look so dang good.
Agreed. All right, and then we got Washington State at Arizona State in the stinker game of the week. Line is currently Washington State minus 6.
Ugh, this is tough.
You've got two teams going in totally different directions.
Totally different directions right now. I kind of like Arizona State in this game. Maybe it's like because they're at home. Scadaboo is playing great right now. He could be a real game changer for them in this game against a pretty okay run defense. I don't know. A gut feeling says Arizona takes this one.
I think Arizona State does win this game because the strength of this Arizona State team so far, if there is one, is their pass defense. And that is the only thing that Washington State does is pass the ball. And it's in Arizona. It's going to be warm, not super hot, but warm, almost 80 degrees. I like Arizona State in this game. And the downslide for the Cougs continues.
Well. Interesting game here because I thought I was going to be alone on an island picking the upset, but I'm not. This is the thing is I really like Washington State. I think they're really good. Both sides of the ball, they've shown it. I think coaching comes into play a little bit here, as well as just not knowing what to do in some of these situations to sustain playing so well. They got a really good quarterback, but I like the way ASU played against Washington State. Watch that game from front to back, and that was a team that knows that they're not great, but they know that they can be, right? Like they were playing so hard, so well coached, but one of the best teams in the country, they had them on the ropes. So yeah, I'm taking ASU in this one. And gosh, what'd you say? 6.5? I think they beat that. I think they're
they're 6.5 point dogs.
I know. I think they're going to easily cut. Like they're going to throw this, obviously, if they win, but I mean they might win by a touchdown or more. Like I'm looking at this 6.5 as a number. I get what you're saying, Eli, but like I just really like them in this game. I think what you saw in Washington was not an anomaly. Like this is a team that's on the up and up, and we've seen this enough that even though Washington State on paper is the better team. Like I think Washington State
Absolutely.
hands down is the better team. But when you see one team going down and one team going up, this is like playoff baseball, playoff basketball. A team that's hot at the right time is what you want to be. And I think ASU's hot despite the fact that they lost last week.
I agree. Cameron?
I just did a coin flip and assigned the home team the heads, so I'm picking Arizona State.
All right.
All four
Yes,
picking the
all
upset.
four.
All right. Pac-12 after dark action. We've got Oregon State at Arizona. Current line is Oregon State -3.
Ugh. This is a tough one because I really like what Arizona State is doing, or Arizona's doing right now. Fafita is balling right now. He looks incredible. Oregon State, I think, is pretty clearly the better all-around team here. But Arizona off a bye week is scary. That's after the way they've been playing. That's a scary matchup. I still think I'm going to take Oregon State here. But that line is, I could see this being like a kind of run and shoot, like high scoring game that comes down to whoever has the ball last.
When I first started looking at this game, the line was shocking, right? Because you're looking at Oregon State, the 11th ranked team in the country, going up against Arizona that's 4-3. And then you go back and look at Oregon State's schedule and results. And the only real high-powered offense that they faced at all was Washington State. And they lost that game. They also gave up 40 points to Cal. UCLA's offense is anything but explosive right now, and they were playing their true freshman Dante Moore in Corvallis in that game, and also gave up 24 points. Not a lot, but little bit of a red flag. Arizona's found a new stride with Fafita, as you alluded to there, Eli. There's something about playing in the desert. Every team in the Pac-12 dreads these games. Oregon fans especially know this. I'm picking the upset. I'm picking the Wildcats. I like what I'm seeing out of them. DJ continues to be inconsistent. The inconsistent nature of Oregon State's offense is what's giving me pause here. And again, talking about being on the up and up, Arizona had USC on the ropes, probably should have won that game. Arizona had Washington on the ropes, could have won that game at home. Arizona brought Mississippi State to overtime, could have won that game on the road.
With Delora, too.
Yeah, and that was with Delora. I'm picking Arizona in this one. Not super confident. This is one that's probably going to come down to potentially who has the ball last. Chris.
This is a tough one, and I don't want this to sound like homerism at all, and I think you guys will kind of understand it here, but despite the fact that they're better, this still feels like an Oregon State team to me. Like, what have they done that makes you go that is the 11th best team in the country? You understand what I'm saying? Like, yeah, they had big games, but their non-conference was San Jose State, UC Davis, and San Diego State, right? Then they get to conference play, as you said, face a high-powered, balanced team in Washington State, lose by 3. Then they get the win against Utah at home when Utah has no idea what they're doing with their quarterback situation. They're playing 2 quarterbacks that game. The reason they scored 21 is because that defense was on the field all game long. Then give up 40 points to Cal. Have to have a massive offensive performance, and they got it. Good on them. But then again, UCLA, they win that game, but they only, air quotes, they only win it by 12. Like, none of these games have felt dominant. And I feel like in a team that's ranked 11th in the nation should be dominant, should have at least a win in the conference that makes you go, yep, that's why they're a conference contender. I haven't seen it. That's why I take pause in this one, because I think they're better. I think they win. But Arizona's playing really, really tough. They are playing real good football right now. They're at home. Tucson's crazy. I'm going to take Oregon State in this game, but I think it's by a field goal and not much more, because I really like them. I want to like them, but the more things change, the more they stay the same. Nothing about this team screams. Like, here's the deal. They are in control of what happens for the rest of the year, right? Like, if they win out, they upset Washington, they go into the Civil War, winner goes to the conference championship game. But Washington feels like a conference champion. Oregon feels like a conference champion. Oregon State doesn't. It's just weird to me. If they need that dominant win, and I just don't think it's against Arizona. I think they win, but not dominantly. That was really long-winded. I'm sorry. I just had to get it off my chest. I want more from them. I really want more from them, because they should be better. It's like, some of these games they should have won by far more than they won them by.
Yep. Cameron?
Man, sorry, just real quick. I was looking at some stats between Delora and Fafita. They have now thrown the exact same amount of passes, 125 attempts. Jaden Delora has 1,069 yards. Noah Fafita has 946. But Noah Fafita has a 75% completion rating, while Jaden Delora has 70. Average is higher, obviously, for Delora. So TD to INT ratio 9-5 for Delora, 8-2 to Fafita. Both sacked 6 times for very similar outputs, which is a little surprising with how well.
I think they're just a more balanced offense under Fafita. Jaden Delora is like chaos incarnate, right? Like, that guy just lives off schedule, and that's what he does. Noah Fafita works within the confines of what the offense is, and they are a little more structured. That's what I've noticed with Arizona.
Hey, and to be fair, I mean, Fafita got Washington State, USC, and Washington. Delora had Northern Arizona and UTEP.
That's a huge piece of the pie. That's a huge piece of the pie.
Yep. Cameron, who you got in this one?
I think Oregon State's gonna win, but like you guys said, nothing that they've done gets them like the 11th ranked team. Like, we just haven't seen it yet, but I think they're winning by 2, so I'd take Arizona against the spread.
Oregon State and Colorado are becoming the 2 hardest teams to pick in this conference, just because of the inconsistencies that they've shown.
Yep.
Which will make next week really fun when they play each other in Boulder. All right. Rest of the slate, really not a whole lot going on. This is kind of a shitter of a week in college football.
Every time we say that, though, it turns into an absolute banger.
I'm not saying there aren't going to be upsets, but you don't have like the marquee ranked versus ranked matchups, right? Like, that's really Oregon, Utah is about it on the slate, which is why game days coming to Salt Lake. You do have Oklahoma at Kansas. That game's one to watch. The Big 12 just feels like every team in this conference is going to have one of those games, right? Texas almost had it against Houston. This is one. This Kansas team's legit, although without their quarterback, I don't see it happening in this one. What else do we have here?
Georgia, Florida is interesting.
Florida
has looked good over the last
Florida
couple
could
games.
pull that upset because that's an intriguing game.
Again, we talk about one team on the upward direction, one team possibly on the downward direction with Georgia and losing Brock Bowers and, being, again, inconsistent with their quarterback play. And Florida has started to look like a good team. It's interesting, especially in the swamp.
Yeah,
it's one to watch. It's
and the other
alert.
The other side of that is, it's a rivalry, but if you're looking ahead on Georgia's schedule, the meat of that schedule is coming up with Missouri, Ole Miss, Tennessee. Can't sleep on Florida. Georgia gave up 20 points to Vanderbilt. This is not the Georgia team of 2021, 2022. It's not.
Because they don't have Dan Lanning.
That's exactly it.
It's exactly it. And the swamp is that place is nuts, man. I see that the matchup predictor and FPI give Georgia an 85% chance to win this game. I don't see that at all. I don't think I would pick the upset, but I'm not going to be shocked if Georgia loses this game. Line is Georgia minus 14.5, and I'm taking Florida on the line.
I would take Florida on the line for sure.
I'll pick Georgia to win because I should until they lose, but I think Florida covers. What else we got in here? Anybody else have something to add to that?
Nothing.
Duke, the only other ranked versus ranked matchup is Duke at Louisville. Line is Louisville minus 4.
I like that one. I like Louisville minus 4 to cover.
I like Louisville minus 4 to cover. If Leonard was in for Duke, I'd be picking Duke in this one, but he's not.
Yeah.
We gotta pick a bet. We gotta pick a best bet.
Yeah, you guys hosed me last week.
We'll get there. And then Ohio State, Wisconsin is the last one that I have circled on here. Wisconsin's just kind of skating by with their easy schedule. But it's Camp Randall, tough place to play. Do you think Ohio State slips up, or are we going to see another Ohio State win?
I think Ohio State actually goes into Camp Randall and trounces Wisconsin. I was on Wisconsin message boards today, and even their fans are like, "We're about to get trounced." They're like
agree.
watching our team play versus watching Ohio State play. We have too many holes for this to be a good game.
The line is Ohio State minus 14.5. I'm taking Ohio State on that line.
Yes. That might turn into my best bet, actually.
Cameron, you said we hosed you last week. I didn't, because my best bet hit.
Yeah, you hosed me because I bet against you.
Oh, well, that's your fucking fault.
And I got a bad beat on my best bet.
You did get a bad beat.
What was your best bet again?
It was Oregon on the line.
Oh, see, I went with you on that one because I wanted that one as well.
Oh, okay.
But I faded you guys on. Jamie had Air Force minus 10.5. And
They hit.
And
You faded me on that.
Yeah. So I put Navy
That one
plus
did.
10.5. And then the other one was UAB Memphis, I think.
Oh, yeah, it was UAB Memphis.
Yeah, and because it was Memphis minus 5.5, I took UAB plus 5.5. So you got me.
And I got you on that one.
Got me on that
All right,
one.
I was 1 for 1.
So we got you on 2 out of 3.
1 and 1.
All right, Eli, what's your best bet? 9.
I'm kind of scrolling through here, and I think I know what it is actually. And this may sound kind of crazy. Nebraska versus Purdue. Nebraska is only a 2.5 point favorite at home. I'm taking Nebraska on that line.
So Nebraska to cover.
Yeah, Nebraska to cover.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be I just see that line seems real small for a bad Purdue team versus a bad Nebraska team, but not quite as bad.
They might be just as bad.
They might be. We'll find out.
2.5 feels real good to that. All right, Chris, do you have a best bet? I don't know if you've done a best bet yet.
I'm not a degenerate. Plus, minus, spreads. I don't know what's going
You're
on.
not a degenerate, huh?
Yeah. What's I think Harvard at playing Dartmouth this weekend. That's a big game.
Big game.
That's a big game. I mean, if you compile SAT scores in that one, holy shit, that's going to be a monster game. But no, I don't have a best bet. I'll come prepared next month when I get back on this podcast.
Oh no, I'm changing my best bet. 100%. I'm changing my best bet to Boise State, Wyoming. Boise State is a 5-point favorite. I think Wyoming wins.
That on the blue turf?
It's on the blue turf. But their only losses are Texas and Air Force, Wyoming, while Boise State their losses are to Washington and UCF and Memphis and Colorado State. So I'm going to take
that
Wyoming.
Colorado State game was nuts. We didn't talk about that.
I
Did
didn't
you
watch
guys
it.
see? Oh my God. It was one of the craziest endings ever. It happened at like 1 a.m. too. It was bonkers, dude. Colorado State had no business winning that football game.
At one point, I'm just looking at the win probability. At one point, Boise State had a 99.9% chance of winning.
Yeah. You should go back and watch the highlights after the show. That was one of the craziest endings. That was nuts. I'm trying to find a best bet, and I can't find a good one in here that I like. So
Eli, wait, are you saying Wyoming money line or
I'm going Wyoming outright.
Wyoming money line? All right, so you're gonna make me bet for Boise?
Yeah, I am.
only if you decide to fade. That's your call.
Oh, I don't think that one gets me this week. I don't think I can do it.
My best bet is going to be. Oh God, I like all of these lines.
You don't have to take one, man. You don't have to.
I think I do have to.
Okay, you do have
Well,
to.
since we picked Arizona State to beat Washington State, I'm going to take the Washington State -6. I'm taking Arizona State money line.
All right, yeah, I'll fade that.
So you're fading one of us, not fading the other.
Well,
Actually,
yeah,
my best bet would be Arizona State +6. I'm not going to pick the money line as my best bet. My best bet is that Arizona State covers.
Here's one for you. So what betting entity are we using?
do
we have a Just Two Fans preferred betting source?
No,
For
I
the game
use BetMGM right now.
I use DraftKings Sportsbook.
All right. Well, BetMGM has Kansas State -16.5 against Houston. I'm gonna take Houston to say not so fast, my friend. And then Kansas State doesn't cover. There you go.
I like it. Are you fading that one, Cameron?
No, I'm not touching his action. I don't want anything to do. He's just saying words over there, and I don't like it. he doesn't know what he's actually saying. I'm not losing $5 to that nonsense. I dug myself out of a hole on Sunday with at one point when the Dolphins were driving. They had the Eagles switch to -3.5, and it gave me +100 odds. So I dropped a quick 100 on there in full degenerate style. And when they got that intercept, when the Dolphins got that interception, I about had a heart attack. I was like, well, all right, there that goes. But the Eagles flew, and I doubled up my money to pull myself out of the hole that I dug into that weekend. I had a huge parlay for the NFL. It was like plus 30,000. Yeah, but big on that one. Did not hit. I got like 3 legs.
Here's an interesting one. The consensus has Cal and USC over under 67.5.
Ooh, I would bet over on that one.
That's an interesting one, ain't it? Because I don't think Cal's gonna be stopped.
67.5.
But USC might put up 40 by itself. So can Cal cover the other 4 touchdowns?
That seems like a good line. 67.5 is a lot of.
It's an interesting one. Yeah. See, I don't just say words, Cameron. I kind of know what's up.
There's a lot of good
bet.
lines. The best bet one is like the one that you feel most confident in. And
yeah, you don't think I'm confident in Houston? Watch this. Damian Lillard's brother's name is Houston. 6 degrees of separation or something like that.
Kevin Bacon, man.
No, yeah, Kevin Bacon.
all right, that's it for this week.
All right, Jamie, I think it's yours this week.
I think we got to give it to Chris since he's going to disappear from the show.
Even 2 weeks in a row for Chris.
No, I gave it to you last week.
Yeah, you can have it again.
You get it again because you're going to be gone.
And it's our show. We do what we want.
Chris is going on a sabbatical.
That's fine.
Listener, we love you. Viewer, we love you as well. Thanks for joining us during our dumb little show that we love to do. Thank you to Zeta June for the outro music. Thank you to the man behind the glass, Cameron, for producing this and helping us put on a good show and chiming in.
Cameron.
Bye, Cameron.
Say bye, Cameron. So with all that being said, Chris, hit us with that buzzer beater.
To the loyal listener, I apologize. My appearances may be sporadic here and there because basketball season's coming. So if you do enjoy this voice, grab your phone right now. Go to the Apple Store, the Google Store, whatever you need to do. Download the iHeartRadio music app. You can listen
Immediate
to me
regret.
on every Monday. iHeartRadio, Chris Burke, River City Radio.